Hey, happy Monday. Bethany here with episode 9 of the Retrain Your Brain show. Today, talking about money. Again, this coming back to just old programming and how it could be holding you back, and almost making you feel bad about, wanting to make a little extra money and have some wealth, especially, those who can. I do believe there are some people that are limited and they just can't and won't. But then that falls on the responsibility of those who can help, who have the means. So we'll get into a little bit about that. But again, mostly focusing on why it is we feel the way we feel about money based on old training and a little bit of a religious theme on this one, so rated R for religious themes today, because a lot of these feelings do come from misinterpretations or nitpicky interpretations of what the Bible has taught us. A lot of our initial training does come from Judeo-Christian teachings, particularly out of the Old and New Testament, out of the Bible, for better or worse, whether you want to believe it or not. But a lot of sayings that we get taught as we're kids come from there. So a little bit about that, and note, obviously I don't condone things such as redistribution or socialism. I just don't. I believe in the free market, and how people can prosper even more through that. So trigger warning on that for those of you who need it. And I'll get into it. Again, this is the Retrain Your Brain show, episode 9, and I am your host, Bethany. So, getting into my thing is basically a lot of us grow up, with some of these common adages, such as, money is the root of all evil, which my friend Michael, who pointed out, I do agree with, that more accurately should be stated as money is the root of most evils. A lot of evil comes out of lust for, whether it's lust for money, lust for somebody else's property, just generally lust for what somebody else has. And that's half the 10 Commandments is based on, what not to do for other people. Don't kill them, don't lust after their property, don't lust after their wife or their people. And definitely, people today especially lust after wealth in the idea of more possessions and more money. And that's where you start getting the problems, is when money is on the brain and on the heart, and then that becomes your motivation for gathering it simply for the sake of being rich or gathering wealth. And then that's where you can get tempted to do the thing. So again, money is the root of most evils. And in that, what fails to convey in that saying is that's because that's what's in your heart. If you're pursuing what your heart is telling you, and that is money, then you're more likely to be willing to go after things unethically. Building riches because due to unethical or harmful practices will eventually leave you in the poorhouse. I mean, everyone gets caught at some point and gets taken down. And unfortunately, it often takes down everyone who had any connection to it, whether they knew what was going on or not. It hurts a lot of people when you go after money and riches in an unethical, unhealthy fashion. But that all goes to, say that a lot of these adages have been nitpicked where they just kind of stop at that point, and then it makes you uncomfortable with gaining a little bit of wealth and having a little comfort in your life. As the Bible goes on to say in many, many different places where it does not condone riches, but it doesn't necessarily say there's anything wrong with somebody who works hard and earns what they get, and then continues then to give back to the community. That's a big difference between the Old Testament. The New Testament is in the Old Testament, God actually did reward people for following him properly and attempting not to sin and doing what he says. They were rewarded with riches. But if you look, most of them also did actually work for it. Even, the story of, Joseph working for Egypt, he basically worked his way up till he was the second command in Egypt. So yes, he was rich, but that's because he did work for it. And that's what God wanted him to do. Be faithful and do your work. And then he was blessed to the point where he had the money to help the Jewish refugees that were coming to him from the famine. And including his own family. So, it's about work. You got to be able to work for it and be willing to. This is why, the more responsibility you have, you tend to get paid more. Engineers and doctors, tend to be up there because, if an engineer does a calculation wrong, a whole building can come down. Or if a doctor misdiagnoses, you could get the wrong medicine and it may not help, or it could even be harmful. There's a lot of risk involved. So, yeah, in a free market society where there is risk, you tend to be compensated as such. Because it's a lot of work to get to the point where you can be trusted to do that. And I wholeheartly agree. There are some professions that I'm sure are undervalued. I do actually agree with, there's some healthcare workers and whatnot are certainly underpaid. But at the same time, what are you doing that could likely kill somebody? Just again, depending on the level of riskiness. And that's how it works in a free market and a free economy. The more you work and the more you put into it, you also tend to have more to lose. So, don't feel bad to have the money you have, especially if you've been working your ass off for most of your life to get it. Because what happens is people who can gain through ethical means also tend to be generous with that. And allowing society to take care of the sick, the disabled, comes from the people who can make the money to help those groups of people. I'm very much not really prone to being very sympathetic for people who have the knowledge and the know-how. Now, that's not to go to say there aren't, residual effects that have taken longer to reverse because of poor policies from the past. That's definitely still a thing, and you can see some of that from the past and ongoing even now. But that doesn't mean that we need to condemn all people who have built up a life for themselves. I was born white, yes, but that's not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to feel guilty over it, because frankly, that's just being condescending. That's all that is. It's just being ridiculous. I believe in helping people that are in a bad spot, and can give temporary relief. That's what unemployment insurance is for, and certain healthcare and welfare programs. They're all meant to be temporary aids of relief to let people get back on their feet. There are people legitimately be on permanent disability and need help from everybody else for the rest of their lives. That does happen. Accidents happen. Life sucks, and it's unfair. But we should not demonize the people who have the money, or demonize ourselves for having money, when really that gives us the ability to give back to other people. And the more you're willing to work and work for it, guess what? It means the more you're able to give back, give back and as well as be comfortable. And part of that is, yes, it's okay to have a comfortable retirement, because that again means you don't have to be as stuck on your kids or whoever is going to be taking care of you. My mom has done an excellent job to make sure she's going to have enough money. Even though we still do, have plans for the future for me and her together. But, you know, she's taking care of herself, and she's not going to have to, you know, rely solely on Social Security, because she's done well and she has worked her ass off to do it. With being a nurse since before 18 years old, and working through the public health care system, and she's been in some rough spots, and that's okay. You know what? She deserves everything that she's getting in her retirement and this time off to go and enjoy a little bit of that, and that's okay. You know, that's the biggest thing, is we've got this like 1% versus 99%, when the vast majority of the people really truly earned what they have. Yeah, there's people who are, you know, inherit a ton, and, you know, lucky them. They had families that invested well, and they just keep kind of getting it. But as long as those people are, if their hearts are in the right place, and they're not just continuing to pursue money for the sake of money, but say, you know, wealth is attracted to them because they are actually out helping people and working and doing their thing in life, you know what? Then that's okay. And that's what we all need to remember, is start in a place that, you know, like I'm doing this literally because I feel like I have a message that's valid and can help people, you know, and if this happens to attract some money that comes to it, great, you know. If I get some coaching clients out of it, people who want help with accountability, or, you know, getting that next idea and then staying on it, or whatever the case may be, you know, sweet. If not, frankly, I already know a couple of people who seem to be getting something out of it, and so I'm going to keep doing it. And I've got another friend of mine who wants to come on the show and talk about meditation, and maybe even do a live meditation with us here. And again, this is someone who's geared toward helping business people, entrepreneurial people, with learning how to meditate in order to increase their brain function and help them with their business. You know, like I said, I've got friends that I'm going to track down here to talk about sports, and to talk about how to keep active, and the things that they do to really motivate themselves to, you know, get up early in the morning and make that workout happen, you know, every single day. Which is a big struggle, you know, and if they attract clients because they want to help people to begin with, and then that attracts money versus you having to go and hunting it down. That doesn't tend to work. So, you know, and again, because we've been trained for so many times, you know, money is the root of all evil. Stop. Versus thinking about, but not all money is evil. Or, you know, we've had songs, you know, back in the day, you know, more money, more problems. Well, it becomes more of a problem if you make it that way. If you know, go out and buy 7 houses and do nothing with them, and people look at you like, what the hell? Or that stupid pastor that's saying he needs you know, God said he needs another jet. You know, like that kind of stuff is just completely horseshit crazy. It's being able to also realize to check in every so often to make sure that once you do have that wealth, that you're not losing the things that money can't buy, your relationships, your charity. Make sure you stay connected, because you can get lost, you know, and I know some people that have met younger millennials that just managed to, you know, make money on a really good deal. They just got in on something that took off, and then they became really intolerable people because they just cannot understand the people who worked and do still work for what they have. So, you know, it's really about how you got it and then what you do with it after, and living a comfortable life but a generous life is nothing to be ashamed of. So, you know, what did I want to put out? So, like, you know, so my point is, you know, retrain yourself. If you're feeling bad about making a little money or wanting to make a little extra money, as long as you're being ethical with it and your heart's in a good place, you know, where you want to take care of your family, or, you know, yes, even if it is something as, you know, wanting to do that first class ticket, you know, that's okay. It is okay. You have permission. Especially when, you just want to, live a little bit better and take the opportunities to give back when you can. One of my goals is to reach out to a program here locally in Washington and get trained up to get into, see if I can get a little involved with a program that helps women who have been trafficked or in the life, and my hope is that again, these things that I'm doing and this passion that I have to help people find what it is they want to do in this life can translate to helping some of these women who may not exactly feel accepted half the time. So making sure they understand that they've got just as much opportunity as the rest of us. They just need a leg up, and that's what charity is about. Helping people who really want to work and really want to do better, and giving them the leg up that they all deserve, the second chance. So, some quotes that I found that I actually really liked. I just, Google. I find all kinds of fun things. One here by George Lorimer. It's good to have money and the things that money can buy, but it's good too to check up once in a while and make sure that you haven't lost the things that money can't buy. There was a gigantic, here's another one, Marlene Dietrich. There is a gigantic difference between earning a great deal of money and being rich. To be rich, you can make up all kinds of different, take all kinds of different meanings. And I think the noblest version is basically when you're rich means you can give back. Whether you've got the riches that are in things that money can't buy. That's the whole thing too about Christianity in the afterlife. And going to heaven is you can't take the money and the possessions with you. So are you rich in life? Are you taking love with you instead? Are you taking the fact that you've earned some treasure in heaven by being generous, by going out and just helping the people around you and being compassionate. Think about those kinds of things. Ask yourself, are you comfortable and having a great life because, you did something nefarious that could hurt people either then or up front, or did you work your tail off? Are you doing things that really matters? That's a big thing with the millennial generation and all, is they've noticed this shift, from people working to build money, to people who need to feel a connection. A lot of companies have found it harder to hold on to millennials because, they can pay you well, but if they don't feel connected, if they don't feel like they're giving back in some way, they'll actually lose those millennial and I guess they're called Gen Z workers, because they want a connection. They want a mission of some sort that they feel like they're giving back. It's again a very generous mode to be in, and that's basically where you want your heart at. So it's okay to go and want to make a little more money. Just make sure that's not what your heart's desire is. Your mind can want it in order to promote or attain your heart's desire. To be generous, to be loving, to be able to give back, to be comfortable. But don't feel bad about accumulating it to begin with. That's or wanting a little more money. That's not the problem. The problem was when money becomes the end all means, and you do whatever you can to get it. Be that can be an unethical capacity. So I hope that's a little enlightening and helping and giving you permission to not feel like wanting more money is the problem. The problem really is finding a way to attract that money in an ethical manner that results in a better psyche for you and generous for others. Because otherwise, yeah, you might feel guilty, or you might take people down with you. So keep all that in mind. So kind of keeping it a little shorter today, slightly anyway. Feel free to ask me any questions, or if you'd like to find more information, let me know. But that's all today is about. Just give yourself permission to want bigger things, and to think of ways you can give back to attract those bigger things. Going back to the heart desires list that I mentioned a few episodes ago, write it down. What is it that you want? And then the universe, God, whoever, will respond with opportunities for you to work with other people and help other people that may attract those things that you want. So that's the advice for today. On Friday, I plan on tackling finding that big idea. What is that idea that can get you there and attract the level of income that you'd really feel more comfortable with, whether it's to build a retirement or be independently wealthy, etc. Whatever it is that your goal is for your life, we'll talk about how do you look at the world just a little differently in order to find that thing, that niche, that idea that you can really jump into and enjoy working in. So tune in Friday, 2:30ish, somewhere in there, and we will be back then. Bye guys. Thanks.